Welcome everyone to the fourth episode of the interview series Women in BPM. In this series, we want to give women in BPM a voice. We want to learn from their journey. We want to get insight into their very success story. We want to understand where are the challenges and why women at BIM are good at BPM. And maybe we can ask some fun facts too. So today it's my pleasure to have Vassiliki with me on this episode. First of all, a very warm welcome, Vassiliki. And can you tell me,
Thank you for the kind invitation to participate in this initiative.
Thanks for joining me. I know you have a great history in BPM and you have a lot to do and to tell us about your activities. So can you give us some insights about, where do you come from and what you do? How did you came to BPM and why you love it?
Thank you once again for this opportunity to share some experiences and exchange some thoughts on what would be the future and how we can promote women in BPM. So my name is Vassiliki Spentzou. I'm born in Athens, Greece, and since university, I've studied in the Athens University of Business and Economics. I studied informatics. And while I was studying informatics, I had a small experience in programming, and this experience made me look for additional roles apart from being a programmer. So I thought that a master course would open for me new roadmaps that I can explore. And I took the next step. And during my master degree, I had the opportunity in the context of having practical experience to get to use ARIS in a real life project in the context of operations management class. And that gave me the spark that this kind of hybrid role between IT and business would be a good match for my personality. I had the chance to be welcomed in a team where women were welcomed. It was all inclusive and we were treated equally. So we had this field to experiment and try to prove how ARIS can help companies. So back in the early 2000s, we started with a small team that was looking for the first cases of ARIS in our country. When we managed to get our first projects, we get involved by taking up the role of analyst. So we were using ARIS in real life in projects where we had to map the knowledge about how a big organization like a bank operates, or in other projects like getting the specifications for new systems to be incorporated in a big telecom company. And that was just the beginning. After that, I had the chance, out of these 20 years that I'm active in this company that is the partner of Software AG in Greece, to get involved in additional projects like in the fields of GRC, or again in the fields of performance management, optimization of operations, and so on. And I more or less I'm getting to new experiences all the time, thanks to the capabilities of the practice of BPM that are exploited out of a software like ARIS. And I hope that we will have new roadmaps to explore together in the future as well.
Okay, that sounds great. So let me summarize. Did you start it 20 years ago with ARIS or even before?
More than 20 years ago.
Which year was it?
It was 2000.
2000. Okay, and so you had 22 years of ARIS from the 30 years that we have. So you're a big part of this success. Sounds great. And you were in banking, telco, so in different industries, yeah?
Yes, and all the projects were some of these projects were long-term ones. I mean, in the bank sector, at least in our country, there is this type of department, the organization department, that is having the role of optimizing the operations of the bank. So ARIS is a tool that is accompanying these teams for all these years. And we also had the experience of ARIS being used in more limited scope projects. So
Okay.
more or less, that is one of the things that was intriguing my curiosity, and I was never bored actually. I've had all these changes, all these different scopes, and all these new methodologies that were needed to be studied and applied in real life. So
Mhm.
I'm actually not bored after all these years.
I think that brings me
Luckily,
to I think
luckily.
that's yeah, luckily. But I think that's one point because I was wondering, it is one of the question I'm always asking, is why do you think that women are so good at business processes or at business process management? And I said you just said this, yeah, it's always something different, something new, but I'm sure there are other points that you want to mention on that.
Okay, women, you know that more well than me. They're adaptive. They are inclusive. They have excellent interpersonal skills. I mean, it is already recorded in many studies that women tend to perform better when social responsibility, emotional intelligence are concerned. So these are
Mm-hmm.
some of the skills, the soft skills that are
Mm-hmm.
necessary for someone to be able to apply BPM
Mm-hmm.
in a company. And I believe that women are open to discuss problems, are open to hear all the different opinions so that they can synthesize them and propose some concrete proposals for change.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that it is not a stereotype, but genders are different. It is proved out of science. But women are those that build the trust, and they manage out of the trust that they build with the customer, with the rest
Mm-hmm.
of their team, with other partners that also come in this kind of projects.
Mm-hmm.
They manage to be the link in this chain of people that are necessary to apply the BPM concepts in practice.
Yeah, and I think to be different is not a problem. It's about diversity. So that we are all different. I think it's a very good point, and yeah, it's acceptable. So I don't think it's a problem.
Yes,
But I do think this relationship thing is one of the big success factors of business process initiatives because if we look at the competence centers of the center of excellence we see in big companies that are setting on process management, they need to interact with a lot of different people and different departments, right?
I have to testify something that is really a reality, at least in our country. In the
Mm-hmm.
banking sector that I mentioned earlier, these organization departments are having the role of the center of excellence. And it is a statistic that in our country, most of them are led by women,
Oh,
which are very assertive, although it
okay.
might sound not regular, but they are persuasive and they act very well as facilitators throughout all these years. I mean, I can
Yeah.
recall that the first implementations of BPM, at least in our country, started around 2006 and it is 2022 and
Mm-hmm.
we are having the same team being there and doing more things throughout the years. So this is a proof that women can work well on that sector. Even
That's
in our
great.
company, we have 40% of our employees being girls. And
Mm-hmm.
we promote that because we believe that diverse talents make the difference for such a team.
That sounds great. That's good news. 40% you just said.
Yeah.
Wow. That's not in every company like this. So that's a very congratulations to this one already. And
Mm.
that would maybe mean that in your world, you don't need more women in BPM, do you?
No, we need more
And why?
because we have to persuade more people, more companies, and we have to
Yeah.
work in new challenges. I mean, sustainability,
Mhm.
the pace that the digitalization is getting, and new forms of technology are coming out. We
Mhm.
have to include more women in this. Let's put it a league of persons that need to keep BPM going and
Mhm.
and transforming as well,
Uh-huh.
because young women can bring new ideas, and these ideas are really useful when you need to keep going with all these new challenges. You have to keep the pace with the reality, and young women that will come on board will surely give you the message.
Talking about young women, what advice would you give yourself 20 years ago? So now, thinking as you are right now and talking to yourself 20 years ago, is there a specific advice you would give yourself?
Yes, I would give as an advice that at the beginning you need to be open so that you can gather as many information as possible. And then you should probably invest more on your self awareness, self regard that will keep you as a concrete personality, able to give the best result in your team. It
Mm-hmm.
is something that is built throughout the years. I mean, I cannot imagine myself being 22 and being self-aware and and confident. It is coming throughout the years. But I had to be open. I had to. I was given the opportunity to give my opinion on critical thinking topics, and I believe that when you give, you also get confidence, and that helps you um, build your self awareness.
That's true. That's true. And do you think you're well accepted as a woman in the industry, or do you see some problems still? I think we come a long way, but yeah, what's the
I
status in
can
your?
recall the first conferences or meetings that I attended in Germany, that we were used to be only a few women. I had another colleague at that time that was a girl as well. And we were the only women in a crowd of 100, the only women, the few women, some of the few women attending this type of conferences. I can also recall that in my first project in a telco company, where I had to go and make the analysis with a great number of employees. You can imagine how many men were out of this,
Mm.
and I had also to support them in their everyday life. I had to be accepted, so it was a real challenge for me to learn their codes and try to get to get a position in their own team, to make them trust me and respect me, so that we can all operate in the target that we had to achieve out of our effort.
Mhm. That sounds, yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, so now I would like to stop a little bit on the business side, on the diversity side, and ask you some fun questions. So this is a game we have in the middle of this Women in BPM series, and it's called This or That. You can answer very shortly. You can answer a little bit longer. That's up to you. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Morning or evening?
Evening. I'm an evening person because usually at the evenings I have these. I somehow have arranged for myself this session that I clear up my mind. I summarize what happened throughout the day, and
Mhm.
I believe I'm more productive in working when I have this kind of session. That my buffer is getting empty, and I'm having the conclusions to help me plan my next actions. So I'm an evening person, but I have to operate in the morning as well.
All
You
right.
know,
That brings me to the next one. Business or private life?
You have to make a combination there. Okay, we're living in a country where we have a lot of chances to get into the countryside and enjoy the sun, the sea, the mountains. We even have mountains. So we have to find the balance to make room for private life, apart from work life, study life, and things like that. And I believe this is one success factor that everyone should invest on.
Yeah, self-care is really important. So that's important to take care of the private sides to be able to perform in the business. Do agree. So one more business related, BPMN or EPC?
Okay, 20 and more years EPC, because when we started, BPMN was not there, so we had to customize EPC to act like BPMN. So I'm a traditional type, you would say. But of course, I can recognize the value of BPMN for specific topics or context.
Yeah, fully understood. Wine or beer?
Wine.
What a question, right?
Wine, it's Greece. We have a lot of different types of wine.
Yeah, and they are gorgeous, I must admit. Risk or compliance?
Okay, risk is a challenge, but compliance is necessary as well, because you have to place the context, to define the context, the dimensions of it, and then try to minimize the risks. So it depends on the case. Once again, I have to be diplomatic.
Yeah, you don't have to choose. You can say both is important. Okay. That's fully fine. So now back to the topic today, because we are talking about women in BPM. So it's about business process management. So how would you describe process management in simple words? What's that?
Okay, I have tried to describe BPM in all the trainings that we are giving throughout all these years in newcomers to our team or our customers. And I like the word a set of practice tips and methodologies to manage the everyday operation of your company in order to achieve the objectives that are set, and not only at a specific point in time, but even in the long-term dimension. So more or less, that is a concrete approach to give to your audience the feeling that it is a practice. It is not a tool. It is not something like a theory. It is a practice. You have to work on that. You have to prove that your analysis is giving the desired result. You have to give feedback to your stakeholders, to revisit your approach. I really like this liveliness that is underlying BPM. It is not a once-off project. It is an approach that you need to practice in a coherent way in your company.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if you would depict that for your grandma, for example, or your grandpa, how would you explain process management to them?
Okay, my mom used to be a dressmaker. So when she was asking me what is BPM and so on, I said, okay, if you would like to teach someone how to make a new dress, how would you do it? You would analyze what is the necessary ingredients that make a dress, and then you would model it, and then you would get all your resources there to get it done, and then you would fine-tune some details. So I used this kind of parallelism to give her more about what I'm doing in my everyday life. I'm not sure whether she's having the clear picture, but I'm trying most of the times to give the concepts of BPM similar to close to the one reality that my other person, my conversation mate is familiar.
Yeah. That makes sense. I was bringing that example of how to bake a cake to my mother. So this one works pretty well too. You need some ingredients, you have some specific steps, and of
Like
course
a
you have a
recipe.
and of course you have a goal and you have some risk of burning, for example, in the meantime. So I think it really makes sense to bring that to very basics example, because processes are nothing less than this follow up of different
Oh
process
yeah,
steps
yeah,
for a
yeah,
specific
yeah.
purpose. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I was thinking, as we were talking about our moms, I was talking with my mom about processes and sustainability last time, and well, I tried to explain her how it fits together, and she just answered, "Well, didn't you think about it earlier? It's so obvious that processes have to do with sustainability and with taking care of environment and society. What is your perspective on how processes and sustainability come along?"
I think it is more than evident right now. You're of course right that this kind of targets should be in our agenda for many years now. But due to the climate change, it is more than evident to everyone, to a greater audience, that we have to take care of emission reduction, how we're going to save energy, and how all this affects our everyday life, and what we can do to optimize our everyday life. We have a clear benefit to demonstrate to everyone right now, and the direction to sustainability will be welcomed, I feel, in the
Mm.
coming years.
Yeah. I think it's more or less and not less. It is a must, and everyone has to deal with that and think about it. So whether we as private persons or as businesses, that's right. Yeah. And looking at that, you mentioned reduce emissions. So basically, it's also a question of KPIs, not only about processes. So
Monitoring, yeah.
how do you see the connection also with KPIs and mining and process management? Because we talk about process modeling, but we also talk about process mining. So how do you see these two interact in general or for sustainability, as you like?
In general, the monitoring part is the essential, the second essential ingredient of BPM. So new KPIs will come in the sustainability direction, and the monitoring mechanisms will be widely spread in every kind of application. We can gather data so that we can make informed decisions on what would be the best approach to limit our footprint in the climate, and
Mm-hmm.
also take preventive actions. Because not only do we need to reduce our waste, we also need to optimize how we spend our resources, how we utilize them. So mining will be the tool to convince all the audiences on the measures that are necessary to be planned and implemented towards all these directions of sustainability.
Mhm. And I was talking the other day with a colleague from a car company, and she also supported that point that we need to be KPI driven. We need to make these informed decisions, and she also brought that to these overall process optimization cycle.
Yeah,
That in
yeah.
each and every process we look at in the companies, in the center of excellence, we need to look at also from a sustainability perspective. So taking different angles into the process management
It's
of the
one
thing.
more dimension. Let's put
Yeah,
it in a few words. It's in
that's
one more
perfect.
dimension.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. So now I have some more private leadership questions from for you. So did you get some help along the way? So how did you came to where you are right now? Or it's all self-made? Or was there one person that helped you on the way?
Actually, I had this kind of thoughts recently, because my case is one case that I managed throughout all these years without any networking, that usually facilitates getting into leadership scales.
Mm-hmm.
It is my experience, my hard working, and the fact that I am at a company that trusts and open relationships is one of the main principles here. So I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to evolve and prove myself and somehow get into leadership roles. I can share with you one instance. Sometime I had this chance to move to another company. It was one company from the industry side of one of the biggest companies in the industry side of our market. And during the 4 interviews that I had, the main question and the main doubt from their side was whether a woman can manage in such a men-ruled environment. And I was feeling quite confident, and I was telling them I'm not having any problem, but I'm not sure how they got the message.
All right. So, but what I heard before, you were talking about your company and the style of leadership. So I heard trust. What is your style of leadership? How would you describe that?
I try to be a collaborator and facilitate everyone to feel comfortable when we are together in a project. So I need to be honest. I believe in honesty and building trust. That's one thing. And you know that women are performing well in emotional intelligence, which means that I'm trying to observe my cooperating mates and somehow adapt our way of working in order to make the most out of our efforts. So that is one thing. And then I try to realize the potential that every person might have, because I might have the vision that someone would progress in a specific pace, but maybe this person is not interested in following up. So I have to, I believe I'm trying to invest more in the interrelationships and the ability to realize non-verbal sometimes signs of my partners.
Okay. Yeah. As I think we can also learn from men. So I do think the things that you said are probably very female-related abilities. But what do you think we women should learn from men acting in leadership positions?
Actually, we should try to invest more on our tolerance, because sometimes we are tempered. And we have to take good control of our emotions. And we need to let ourselves feel confident, because in this way we perform better. When you feel eased, you are giving your best. That's something that I had this statement from another manager, from a previous manager of mine. He said that women, when they feel secure, they will give you the best result ever. And I was quite young when he shared with me this kind of statement. And now that I can say some more things, this is true. When women feel secure, they develop their skills to the largest scale and they perform well. So this is one thing that men have it when they first get into a team. They feel secure. They feel that no one is going to doubt them easily, at least.
So self-confidence, right?
Yeah. Women have to invest on that, on how to build that, and again exploit their emotional interrelationship skills.
Okay, yeah, I would agree directly. That's exactly the point. That's true. And I think that's a very nice closing for our session today. So really, security, self-confidence, bringing your best is key in our area. So, and I do think that you do it perfectly. So I would like really to thank you for your time, Vassiliki. It was nice
Thank
discussion.
you for this interview and all these years of cooperation. It was a pleasure to be together in this roadmap, and I hope we will have new challenges to work together.
Yeah, I think we have a great ground in some women bringing the way to others in the BPM area. So we should proceed. So thanks again. Thanks for your time. I'm looking forward to meet you in person again at some point. But to everyone in the audience who are watching or listening to our Women in BPM interview, thanks for your attention. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, please don't be shy. If you think you should be the next one, get in touch with me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It was a pleasure. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.